Hello, and welcome back to Super Hell, aka the Mystery Spotcast, a show where two recovering Supernatural fans subject themselves to a rewatch so no one else ever has to watch Supernatural again. My name is Ollie. I use any pronouns, and you can find me on social media at OllieFresh. That's fresh with a PH.
My name is Klaudia with a K. You can find me on social media at Klaudia Says, K-A-L-U-D-I-A Says. My pronouns are she, her.
Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your pronouns. Guys, this episode, we've got a lot going against us. We've tried to record this episode once already, and it didn't. There was an issue with the software, and now I just got 3 vaccines yesterday. Get your vaccines. Make sure to do that. Get your vaccines. It is extremely important. That being said, I really am so tired. I have a terrible headache. Also, the first episode I watched probably about 3 weeks ago, and the second one I watched about a week ago. So we are like woefully underprepared. Like, this is maybe the most unprepared I've ever come into an episode of this show.
And you say to yourselves, why didn't we just wait? Because we know that you want entertainment, and we thought we could just wing it.
We've made you wait long enough for the Supernatural, the diehards out there. These if you're like, wait, you didn't talk about my favorite part of this episode, it's probably because I forgot about it. And I have a transcript and a wiki and a dream, so we'll just have to kind of go from that.
And vibes. You know, I forgot Castiel was in this episode.
No, literally, Claudia was like, I don't really remember this episode because Castiel isn't in it. I'm like, girl, he's actually like an extremely important part of the episode.
Yeah.
So guys, this might be a little bit sillier than our average episode. Also,
and that's saying something.
Because I'm feeling quite ill, I am sitting on my couch right now. Peach is here. She's my cat for inquiring minds. She's currently sitting like on my mic, so we'll see how that ends up sounding. So we're playing fast and loose. Well, yes, that's all.
Well, yeah.
All things that people have called Dean Winchester.
I don't know. I think
that we need to leave that there.
In the sense that
let sleeping dogs lie. Okay.
I think Castiel thinks that he's
what could you possibly be about to say right now?
I think you know.
And you know what? Let's keep it at that. Let's roll. Let's rock and roller skate.
I think Dean Winchester's has a tight hole. Who said that?
Girl. We can't be doing this.
That's the energy we're bringing.
The energy is really rough today, guys. It's really rough.
Anyways,
this one is going to be tough, but we're going to get through it because we are professional podcasters and we've made you wait for this episode long enough. And if we don't record it now, it's not going to happen.
Much like Supernatural, we're going to go from the highs of the highs, speaking about the Omegaverse with Megan, to the low of the lows. Us two not remembering what the fuck happened in this episode.
I feel like I'm just so caught off guard by the idea of the Supernatural writers knowing about Omegaverse that I'm like, I can't remember anything else about this show.
Yeah. And only in the later seasons at that. Like, that's hilarious to me.
That's so scary.
So,
you know that there's, fun Omegaverse fact. I don't watch the show, but my sources have told me that there's some pseudo Omegaverse stuff going on in the show, the Netflix show Wednesday.
What?
Like literal like werewolf shifter stuff. I know that one of the characters is a werewolf, but like apparently there is a part where she's like a burgeoning alpha, and then
a woman alpha. Okay.
Yes, and then from what I have seen, I'm just saying, I think. Also, we have to talk sometimes about queerbaiting on this show. Dude, I, again, have not watched Wednesday, but y'all are getting queerbaited that's like some good old-fashioned, like, classic queerbaiting happening on that show.
Yeah, y'all are getting Castiel'd, I fear.
Oh, but see, I don't even know. I'm just like, whoa, they got them dressed up in sweaters that are the colors of the lesbian and bisexual flag, like... They've got them doing they've got them dancing, they've got them hanging out together, they're talking about Omegaverse, like what the hell is happening at Netflix? So, but anyway, Wednesday, if you're an avid watcher of the Netflix show Wednesday, I'm sorry or congrats. Seems like we may be losing chess to a dog, but damn, the dog is good at chess.
Me watching the MCU.
Well, yes, that's where the thing is from.
I know. Anyways, today I'm here to talk to you about Supernatural Season 6, Episode 10, Caged Heat.
Wow. Speaking about Omegaverse.
So, we open on, in the transcripts, it calls it Crowley's Monster Prison. I think that Crowley would have made a name for his monster prison, but I digress. If you remember, Crowley wants hunters to capture him monsters so he can find the alpha, the creation monster of certain monsters so that they can tell him where Purgatory is, because he is going to treat Purgatory like Dubai. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Just go with it, okay? So we open on the alpha shapeshifter tied to a chair, and he looks like Crowley, and Crowley is torturing Crowley. Crowley is torturing the alpha shapeshifter who is shaped like Crowley. Here's my question, because didn't we establish?
I'm sorry. It's like Kronk, or it's like the poison for Cusco's poison. It's like the shapeshifter, the Crowley shapeshifter who looks like Crowley. Sorry, what were you? You go ahead.
Didn't we establish that the shapeshifter lore, when they have to like have the skin goop, like don't they have to like kill the other person?
No, because remember one of them was Dean. Yeah, no.
Okay. So, Crowley is interrogating the alpha shapeshifter. He's flirting with himself, likely thing for Crowley to do. He makes a speculum joke, so there's that.
Well, just goes to show that the items we use for women and people who have uteruses and vaginas, that the items we use for their health is akin to a torture device.
Yeah.
Just goes to show, says a lot about society.
Yeah. And Alpha, Jesus. The Alpha is like, hey, look, it's Purgatory.
We're talking about alphas and heat. Girl.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, it's good. So the Alpha's like, look, it's Purgatory. All I know is that I go there when I die, and it's not like I can draw you a map. And honestly, that is very logical. Like, how would the monsters know where Purgatory is? It's like asking me where heaven or hell is. How would I fucking know?
Yeah. Hey, Claudia, where's hell?
We're in it.
Right. You got it.
The DMV.
Yeah. Especially DC right now.
Yeah.
Guys, it's looking dark. It's dark. It's really dark out there. Anyway, we're like, this is our fun supernatural podcast where you can escape from real life, and then we're like, real life is terrible.
So Crowley says, I happen to know you can. How does he know that? Now, granted, he could be buffing. Oh my god.
Guys, we told you this episode was going to be kind of off the shit.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Oh.
So, Crowley says, my sources are unimpeachable. Okay, girl. And he's like, well, you're the father of your entire species. You're really not pulling off this dumb blonde act. I hope you appreciate just how much effort I've gone into finding something that can actually hurt you. And he holds up this knife, and he goes, this is iridium. Would have been cheaper to drop a castle on you, but I think we all agree it's worth it. So you start talking, or I start chopping off the bits that stick out. They've killed shapeshifters before. What is this new lore?
Because it's the alpha shapeshifter.
Maybe.
So maybe it...
I was like, iridium? That's from that game Stardew Valley.
Iridium... that's a lot like Borderlands.
Oh my god. So he's stabbing him. The shapeshifter spits blood in his face. The whole
classic
rigmarole. Crowley says, what is it with you animals? Did I tell you? This prison has a nursery. And he holds up a baby monitor, and you can hear the babies. Because if you remember with the shapeshifters, like, they were trying to make more of them. There was that whole plot line. And he's like, I know you care about them. You've spent months gathering them. He said, you've spent months gathering them to your bosom. Okay. And he's like, yeah, finding Purgatory is important to me. You have 5 seconds to tell me where it is. After that, I'll fillet them in front of you. And okay, Crowley. And the alpha's just like, kill them all. Like, we'll make more. I don't care. Then Crowley gets fed up with this. He takes a machete. He beheads the shapeshifter. And he goes, guess I kind of lost my head. Title card.
Oh, my God.
Pack it up.
I'm sorry. He is so dramatic. It's honestly, here's the problem. I feel like Crowley is in a different show than the rest of them.
Exactly. A better show. Sometimes.
I did. He's just funny. Like,
I love him.
I feel like whenever Dean tells a joke and it's like some stupid reference, I'm like, oh, boo, tomato. And then Crowley tells a joke that's like the exact same level of stupidity. And I'm like, oh my God, he got us. Like, yes, that's so funny.
We cut to outside of it says an industrial plant. It could be the same one, but Sam and Dean, they drive up. And then there's a couple demons that also come up in a black SUV. They have a prisoner. The demon is like, you're late. And Dean is kind of like, well, traffic was a bitch. And Sam's like, here you go. We brought you a Rougarou, which is a monster. Can't get into this. And Dean's like, okay, well, where's Crowley? And these demons are like really sassy in this scene. This demon is like, oh, he's banging a hooker in a sweet spot called None of Your Business. I'm like, whoa, damn, okay.
Sorry, you know what I'm just thinking? I think that we did see a Rougarou. There was an episode. It was that guy who was like realized he was part Rougarou or something. Do you remember that? And I think he was played by the same actor who voices Handsome Jack in Borderlands. I'm like, what? I can't keep making Borderlands references. Why can I not remember that fool's name? But anyway, we have seen a Rougarou before.
Yeah.
But it's literally not relevant at all.
Yeah. Dean's like, oh, the demon's trying to be funny. You know, they're playing off each other. The demon's like, night girls. I don't know why calling them girls is an insult, but sure.
Transphobic.
And Dean is kind of like, wait, hold on. Like, are we ever going to see Crowley again? Or is he just going to keep sending his demon extras to pick up his laundry? And the demon's like, I'm sorry. I know you're speaking. I see your lips moving. But I can't understand what you're saying because I don't speak little bitch. Like, damn!
Jesus Christ.
Stop,
we're entering with a really hostile energy to the prisoner exchange.
It's like, stop. He's already dead. Jesus. And then Dean just kind of turns to Sam and he's like, remember when we used to gank demons? Now, I'm like, well, Sam did fuck one, but okay. So then we cut to like this rundown house that clearly they're not staying in a motel. They're staying in some rundown house. They're squatting. And Dean's like, you know what? I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Here, Dean, unfortunately, makes a joke about sexual assault that is unfortunately very par for the course for Supernatural, but still, it really just takes you out of the scene. It really does. Or he's like, oh, I need a daily rape shower. And you're like, why say that? What does this have to do?
Why would he say that?
We're just coming in hot in this episode.
The thing is, and I also think we have to remember that the culture around like that was so much different. That like then like people were saying stuff like that, and like I kind of get like in the context of the scene what he's saying.
He's like, oh,
but I'm like
fucked over, but you're like,
but it's like, girly diva, we don't need to be saying all that. But it's again, I'm also like, it's distasteful, but it's also like, okay, that's just how people were. That's how a lot of people on TV and media were talking back then, which is, again, not an excuse, but like, okay.
Yeah. But the whole vibe of this entire beginning of this episode is like, whoa, coming in hot here.
There's like a lot. They brought a lot. There was a lot going on. I feel like everybody was mad.
Yeah.
All the characters were like, I'm having a bad time.
Dean was on his period. So
literally, dude, I feel like the amount of episodes of Supernatural that you watch, if you say, why is Dean acting like that? He's on his period, then you're like, well, okay, that makes sense.
We should do a counter. Every episode we decide whether or not he was on his period on that episode.
That feels kind of like, interesting. You know, I can see how that, you know, I laugh, but I feel like that I can see how that might end up being a kind of problematic thing to do.
Why?
You know, I guess it's not like we're saying like, oh,
being on your period isn't bad. Like,
yeah, I mean, it does. As someone, I mean, maybe if we were two people who didn't have periods and we were like, oh, but it's because it's less of a like, oh, you're so emotional, more than it's like, damn, I know that feeling, diva.
Well, and also like we can also like when he's especially horny with Cass, I know he's got his PMS. You know what I mean,
girl?
We should guess the cycle. Let's play guess the cycle. Is Dean ovulating in this episode?
We can't be like that pseudo right wing ideology where they act like ovulating is like that, like the conspirituality kind of like, oh well, I'm ovulating, so I'm so like sex driven and out of control. Like, girl, this is why we have Omegaverse. We don't need to be applying that.
No, but that's my point, is we take that back by applying
reclaiming it to applying it to Dean Winchester.
Yeah, if you apply the divine feminine to Dean Winchester.
Okay. Now I'm clocking back in. I'm
getting it. Like,
yes.
It's like, don't judge me by how I feel on my cycle. However, Dean Winchester is saying some out-of-pocket things, and I think he's ovulating.
That's literally.
So I'm going to say he's like a day before his period in this episode. So he's not in the best of moods.
This is, wow. This is a new dimension to this show that I wasn't expecting us to take, but you know what? Okay.
So I think he has PMDD.
Okay.
There's like 1 week a month where he's just out of control.
Dude, low-key, these 2 episodes kind of are that. He's like, I can't be doing all that.
Like, sometimes it's justified. He's just like out of control, okay? And here's the thing. Once Sam gets his soul back, I think we can also play this game with Sam. I definitely think we do need to talk about Sam ovulating as well, okay? I'm trying to be equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity. This is insane. This is an insane conversation.
Also, I think Castiel is a female alpha.
What the fuck are we even talking about anymore? What the hell are we talking? What? No, because I feel like we've lost the plot. I feel like we need to recenter.
Okay. Anyways, so at this point, Sam is like, let's go with plan B, likely thing to do. He probably thinks he's pregnant. Sorry. Oh, I have to stop. There's something wrong with me.
We'll see if that makes it into the final cut.
See, I think you should leave it in the final cut so people know how bad my jokes are. Because right now, you edit it to make it seem like I'm funny all the time.
Well, because
I'm really not.
I want people to... I don't make it seem like you're funny all the time. No amount of editing could... No. It's because I respect you so much.
So, Sam's like, okay, we need to have a plan B, but we don't have one. And so then Sam responds, so till we do, sorry, dude, stock up on soap on a rope. We're continuing the rape joke metaphor.
Okay.
Yeah. He's like, Dean, if you want to get my soul back, that's what we have to do. And Dean's like, do you even want it back? And Sam's like, I'm working for Crowley, aren't I? Like, spoiler alert, that is the crux of this episode, is does Sam actually really want it back? Dean goes to pour himself a drink, and he's like, okay, but how do we know that Crowley's going to hold up his end of the deal? And then suddenly Sam's gone. And Dean's like, well, guess the moment's over. Is that what you're saying, Sam? And Dean kind of looks around, and he's like, what's going on? He pulls out his gun. He starts looking for Sam. And he finds Sam lying unconscious in the next room. And then a demon comes up behind Dean and also knocks him out. So the girls are captured.
Presidential alert, the girls are captured.
They wake up, they're bound to some chairs. Dean is like, what do we do now? And Sam's like, well, I think I know who you can ask. And lo and behold, who is it? It's Meg! Yay!
Whoa! Women.
Oh, finally. Dean calls her an evil bitch straight out the gate. And Meg's like,
I do fear that Supernatural writers, but it's also kind of emblematic of this era of television and of entertainment. They are like frothing at the mouth for a female villain so they can call them bitches and whores.
Like constantly.
It's like they're like, yes, like we need to call someone a bitch or a whore, like now.
I think they call someone a bitch or a whore more than the Bible. Like,
which is, wow.
I mean, it's on brand, but.
Yeah, but especially, like, in these early seasons, but it's, like, especially with, like, I feel like every time there's a woman,
yeah,
in general.
Every time there's a woman, unless it's, like, Charlie or their mom, they're like, whore!
Yeah, or Ellen.
Yeah.
Or Joe, I guess.
The demons probably called them whores at some point, too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So Meg is like, oh, keep sweet talking to me. This will go in a whole new direction. And Dean's like, Meg, I've been dying to see you again. They're bantering. She's like, oh, that's kinky, but I do have to do a little Q&A. Where's your boss?
They got a bit of banter, babes.
A bit of banter. And she's like, where's your boss? And Sam's like, you think we work for somebody? And Meg's like, I happen to know for a fact you've been juggling Crowley's orphans. Why phrase it like that?
I know something else of his they should be juggling.
Well, and I was also like, I know who is Bobby.
Well, yes.
And so she's like, where is he? And Sam is trying to play it straight. Sam is like, I don't know. I don't care. And Meg's like, you've been working for him for months. Like, come on. And Sam's like, well, we don't, like, that doesn't mean we get FaceTime with him. Like, be be fucking for real right now. And then Meg straddles Dean's lap. Which, okay. And she's like, well, where does he take all those things that you get for him? And she goes, I bet you an all-day sucker, that's where his majesty's holed up. Why phrase it like this?
What the fuck is she even talking about? Like,
yes. And then she holds a knife to Dean's throat, and she's like, okay, officially over the foreplay, satisfy me or I please myself. And Sam just starts laughing. And Dean is like, Sam, why are you laughing? And Sam's like, she can't do anything. She's totally screwed. She's furious. If she could kill you, she would have done it by now. She's running from Crowley. And Sam's like, judging by the level of flop sweat on all of you, yeah, which means you're running from Crowley, which makes sense because Crowley would want to hunt down all the Lucifer loyalists now that he's the big man on campus. And this is a part of this whole thing with how, like, Sam is supposed to be more intuitive because he doesn't have a soul. But also, as we mentioned before, they implied that he was more intuitive because he had a soul. Before that, it's not consistent, okay? Just don't ask questions. It's for plot relevance. Meg is like, well, how do you know? And Sam's like, it's what I do. So he turns to Dean. He's like, she can't kill us. She needs us to get her to Crowley so she can stick that knife in his neck. It's him or her. And Dean's like, well, I hope you both lose, but good luck. And Sam's like, you should work with us. And Dean's like, huh? And Soulless Sam is very funny. And Sam's like, well, we'll hand you Crowley, like, with a bow on one condition. We come with you and you help us wring a little something out of him before you hack him to bits. And Sam's like, doesn't matter. We're not going to tell you, but can you get us what we need? And Meg's like, I apprentice under Alistair in hell, just like your brother. So Dean, can I make Crowley do whatever I want? And Dean's like, yeah, she can. Meg's like, yay, it's a deal. Hugs and puppies all around. And Dean's like, are you going to untie us? And Meg's like, please, don't pretend you don't enjoy it. And she goes to leave, and one of her companions, one of the other demons, walks up to Dean and is looking at him. And Dean goes, you gonna kiss me? Mind you, these companions are men. And then Meg goes, come on, like to the demon, whatever. Men are always trying to get up in, and mind you, they didn't do that to Sam, just Dean.
They always are making a gay joke with Dean. Like, it's literally like every time there's a gay joke, we need to get some sort of official counter of like how many times they make gay jokes to Dean versus to Sam, because I feel like there would be an insane disparity there.
Yeah. If someone can collate that data for us, that'd be great.
Yeah, if one of you would like to do some unpaid labor, that would be really...
Yeah.
Really wonderful. The idea of watching Supernatural without being paid for it. Just kidding. I act like we get paid. We don't get paid. This is pro bono work.
We're doing this for the good of you all, okay?
If anyone wants to sponsor us.
Hi, welcome to Squarespace.
Do you want some magic spoon? God.
So Dean's like, what are you doing? And Sam's like, Dean, you wanted to screw over Crowley. Here we go. And Dean's like, you want to work with a demon again? And Sam's like, we're already working with demons. I'm doing this because I don't want to do it anymore. And Dean's like, she killed Ellen and Joe. And Sam's like, well, you can't look at it emotionally, Dean. We need her.
Damn, that was low-key misogynistic. Stop being so emotional.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe on his period.
Dude, okay, but I'm just saying, that feels like Sam's about to ask him if he's on his period, and then it's misogynistic.
Yeah.
Or misogynistic, transphobic, I don't know. But it's some sort of, it's some phobia.
He's a he-him lesbian.
He can also just be a trans gay man.
That's true.
Or
both.
Saying, or all. He could be anything.
He could be the whole legitimate.
I'm just saying, I think Soulless Sam is a little misogynistic.
Absolutely.
I mean, and by a little, I mean kind of a lot. We've already kind of seen Soulless Sam be kind of misogynistic in general.
And he's about to in the next sentence.
Well, yes.
Because Dean is like, that little bitch is going to screw us over. And Sam goes, which is why we'll screw her first. Okay. Everyone calm
really
down.
Misogynistic. He's just being a...
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, Meg has screwed them over many a time.
Yeah.
I can't say working with Meg has really worked out for them historically in the past.
But I defend women, so...
That's true.
What has she ever done wrong? Nothing.
Well, interesting.
She killed an IDF soldier, so I'm with her.
Oops. Who said that?
Who said that? I'm with her.
Oh my god.
Fuck, there's something wrong with me. Okay. So Sam is like, as soon as we're done with them, we'll kill them. And he's like, yeah, if they don't kill us. And Sam's like, they won't, because we're bringing insurance. Cut to a road outside of the house that they're squatting in. It's nighttime. Sam is praying to Castiel. Again, I'm like, have you guys not learned that it only works when Dean does it? But sure. So Sam's like, Cass, we need you. It's important. Nothing. Cass, we found something. It's this gold box. Apparently Nazis were after it back in the day. Someone opened it and their face melted off. I think it's, ready for this, the Ark of the Covenant. Yeah, so, and then Cass goes, I'm here, Sam. Where's the box?
Cass is such a diva. Like, what the hell is wrong with him?
So, Sam is like, girl, I can't believe you fell for that. That was the plot of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
God.
Cass is like, I'm mid-battle, Sam. I'm in the middle of a civil war. Girl, what the hell? And Sam's like, I could give a rat's ass about your little pissing match with Raphael. And Cass starts to get mad. And
which, yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. And Sam's like, I don't care what you're dealing with up in heaven. You owe me. Which is a crazy thing to say.
Which is like, and it's also fair to say, yeah, no, like Cass he really probably does owe Sam after, going kind of non-responsive for, a year. I think that's fair. Maybe like a civil war to determine like what's going on in heaven maybe is low-key kind of important.
Yeah, but Sam is not in his right mind. And Cass is like, well, you don't care, but believe me, like, yeah, this will affect you. And Sam's like, I'm sorry, do you think we're here to talk this out? If you don't help us, I'll hunt you down and kill you. And Cass is like, will you, boy? How? And Sam goes, I don't know yet, but I'll look until I find out, and I don't sleep. And Cass kind of gets his ass. He goes, you need help, Sam. And Sam goes, yeah, I need your help. Crazy fucking conversation.
What the hell is going on? I'm sorry. I was laughing.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell?
Cass is hearing this and it's just going like, oh my God, like, be fucking for real. Because I'm just getting, like, it's just goofy. So, like, I feel like Soulless Sam is also kind of like, especially in this situation, it kind of reminds me of that clip of, what is it, from Ginny and Georgia, where the girl, like, salutes. It's like a meme where the girl, like, salutes the other two kids in the hallway and then turns around like it's all badass.
Yeah, it's... So, Sam and Castiel go into the house, and Dean is like, oh, you actually showed up. Wow, Sam, I owe you a chicken dinner. What happened?
Watch, Dean's like, oh, so you'll just show up for Sam too. Okay.
He's like, so I'm not special.
He's like, no, that's so fine. That's fine. Honestly, I don't know why I'd be upset.
Over here, ovulating hole open.
Oh my God, you need to cut it out with this.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Dean Winchester hole. Is that illegal on this podcast?
No, I mean, that's on me. You come to the Dean Winchester Hole podcast and get surprised when there's Dean Winchester Hole. Like,
this is a cow farm. You're going to find cows outside. Okay, so Dean's a little sad, but Sam's like, no, it's no biggie. This is what friends do for each other. He's fucking unhinged. We cut to Castiel doing a ritual, and for angels, they call it a ritual. Girl, he's doing a spell, but sure. He's trying to locate Crowley. The GPS not working. And he's like, oh, Crowley's hidden from me. And Dean's like, okay, we're going to have to try this the hard way. We cut to the fuck-ass Campbell compound, which you've already heard our many questions about that stupid place before. Clearly, Castiel has, like, poofed them inside, because Sam, Dean, and Cass are, like, searching through Samuel's study. And Samuel comes in and is like, can I help you? Like, what do you want? How did you get here? And Dean's like, we want to know where Crowley is. And Samuel's like, if I even knew, why would I tell you? And Dean's like, 'cause you're our grandfather? And Sam is like, Samuel, I'm going to get my soul back. And Samuel's like, who says you can get it back? And he's like, I'd like to help, but I'm sorry. And Dean's like, it's your grandson's soul. And Samuel's like, I can't. And so Dean kind of goes off on him. And he's like, what's wrong with you? Do you want to be working for Crowley? And he says, Cass, can you give us a minute? Which is crazy, given that, like, Cass knows everything about his family history, but sure. So Cass disappears. And Dean turns to his grandpa, and he's like, we're your blood. But if you don't want to help us, I can't make you. But I'd have to know why. What's Crowley holding over you? You owe us that. Oh, and this is where they find out. And Samuel takes out a picture of Mary. And he hands it to Dean. And Samuel's like, he's going to give her back to me. And Dean's like, Crowley's going to bring her back. And Samuel's like, you tell me you don't want her back. And Dean's like, I
Dean's like, Diva, the last time I saw her, I was literally 4 years old. So
Yeah.
what the fuck do you want me to say?
Samuel says an insane line where he goes, you know, the one difference between us is you know how to live without her.
Bro, that's fucked, honestly.
Yeah. And Dean's like, I know how you feel. And Samuel's like, no, you don't. She's my daughter and she's dead and I can do something about it. And from Samuel's point of view, that does kind of make sense because he was brought back from the dead and suddenly his daughter, his son-in-law are dead. He has 2 grown grandkids who won't talk to him. Like there's a lot. There's a lot going on.
Like, I think that is, like, the best motivation for him. Like, that definitely makes the most sense.
So Dean's like, do you really think Crowley is going to make good on this promise? And Samuel's like, he brought Sam back. He brought me back. Yeah. And Dean's like, trust me, don't go down that road. Dean says, I'm saying stop trying. It's going to go nowhere good. Samuel, I know we've had our differences, but I'm your grandson, and I'm telling you that this is wrong for so many reasons. And Samuel rightfully calls him a hypocrite. He's like, you would do anything to bring your brother back. And Dean says, I'm asking you to learn from our mistakes. Doing this is how the bad guys get us every time. It's our Achilles heel. Apparently, it runs in the family. We will figure something else out, okay?
Which is, again, kind of insane for Dean to say. Because it's like, he's like, learn from our mistakes. But I'm like, how many more times, like, in the future does he do some dumb shit to save Sam? Like, it's not like he's learning from his own mistakes. Like, I think he's right in principle. Like, he's right in theory, but I'm like, Diva, you are not drinking your own Kool-Aid.
Yeah. And then Dean says, fine, bring her back, but what are you going to tell her? You going to tell her you made a deal with a demon? That you wouldn't help out her sons? And then Samuel gets really pissed, and he's like, that's enough. Get out. We cut to the house that they're squatting in. This is a very famous scene that you have definitely seen GIFs of on Tumblr.com.
Cultural reset.
Yeah. Cass is sitting there watching TV. Sam and Dean are sitting at a table doing research. Castiel says, it's very complex. If the pizza man truly loves this babysitter, why does he keep slapping her rear? Perhaps she's done something wrong. And Dean just stops what he's doing, looks at Cass and goes, you're watching porn? Why? And Cass goes, it was there.
You know, I respect that. He said, you know, whatever.
Full of questions about that. Number 1, they're not in a motel. They're squatting in a house. This assumes that the house had already... It's supposed to be an abandoned house. This assumes that the house... What channels actually play porn at this point? HBO? Otherwise, you have to pay per view for porn. So it wasn't just on.
Maybe it's a DVD.
Did he put in a DVD or a VCR in this abandoned home that supposedly doesn't even have electricity? I just need to know. How is it just on? I just have questions. It's not like they're paying for a channel at a motel. No. I just think the logic doesn't make sense here, okay? So Dean goes, you don't watch porn in a room full of dudes. And you don't talk about it. Just turn it off. And then he looks at Sam. Cass looks down at his lap. And Dean just kind of sighs and goes, well, now he's got a boner. Then there's a knock on the door.
Guys, this shit is crazy. It's really serious. This shit is serious.
There's a knock on the door. Dean goes and opens the door. It's Samuel. Samuel, their grandfather's like, so this is what you boys do. You sit around watching pornos with angels?
Wow. I mean...
Healy goes, we're not supposed to talk about it.
Clocked him. What's not clocking to you? Cass is standing on business. Honestly, I feel like maybe one of the most memorable scenes in all of Supernatural.
Here is that Cass is just hanging. He's supposed to be in the middle of a civil war, but he's just hanging watching porn with them.
Dude, imagine you're a more like worldly angel who spent more time on Earth than Cass has, and you know kind of your way around, you know all that stuff, and you're like, our commander has been missing he went away to go deal with something, and then they find out that it's like, oh, he's just been hanging out watching porn with these 2 chuckleheads with the freaking blowjob brothers. And then,
like, I get why the rest of heaven hates his ass.
Oh my God. Like, they're like, this is your leader?
He's watching babysitter porn.
Dude.
Opposed Kosa so that Castiel can watch more babysitter porn. Anyways, so Dean's like, okay, Samuel, why are you here? And Samuel's like, okay, well, it's what Mary would want. So this is what I know. Whatever we bag ends up here. And he shows them a map with a location. That's where he tortures them. He interrogates them. I don't really know. I've only been outside of the places, but it's a death trap. Nothing gets in that Crowley doesn't want in, and nothing gets out, period. And Dean thanks him, and Samuel is like, I wish you wouldn't do this. And Sam's like, well, come with us. And Samuel says, I may be soft, but I'm not suicidal. Well. Then we have another insane scene.
It never ends.
It never ends. So
even I say that about like just the feeling when you watch Supernatural, and like, but it never ends, in that there's always something more insane right around the corner. And I say that even now in 2025, when the show has ended 5 years ago, like, it never ends.
There's always fucking something, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we are now outside the stupid fuck-ass house at night, and here's Meg and her stupid posse. And Cass is outside, and Meg is like, hey, remember me? I should remember you, Clarence. I don't know why she calls him Clarence.
Well, I mean, she calls him Clarence because it's a reference to the oh my god, what is it called? The Christmas movie. What is it called? Oh my god. No, this is gonna kill me.
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. Thank you, because the angel in that is named Clarence, and he's kind of like,
that's what it is.
I cannot believe you didn't clock that. That's insane.
I knew it was a reference. I just forgot what it was a reference to.
Yeah. So well, maybe one of the most famous pieces of angel media, aside from like the Bible
or Supernatural.
I would argue A Wonderful Life is probably more famous than Supernatural.
No, it's like It's a Wonderful Life and then Supernatural.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
That's fair.
Well, Cass is like, to Sam and Dean, he's like, why are we working with these abominations? These chuckle fucks. And Meg's like, keep talking dirty. Makes my meat suit all dewy. What is she saying?
Girl. And you know what? Another thing, too, is that we have to acknowledge the very period typical is a very key word for this episode. The period typical woman villain is a sexual deviant.
Yeah.
Where she says
a woman is turned on? Whore.
God forbid. Yeah, I'm like, okay, as if Cass wasn't literally watching porn 5 minutes ago.
And Dean's like, all right, simmer down. We know where Crowley is. I know Dean was like, stop flirting with Pookie. Yeah. I know where you're trying to take this. He's like, keep your hands off of Pookie.
He's like, I don't know why it's so upsetting to me when she flirts with him. I just don't get. I mean, it's just because he's my friend, I bet. You know, it's just weird because she's a demon. So that's why it's so upsetting to me, I'm sure.
So Dean's like, we know where Crowley is. And Sam's like, yeah, we'll tell you and then you'll just leave us dead. And Meg is like, oh, you guys have serious abandonment issues. You know that? And Sam's like, we're going to show you, but we're all going to go together. And Meg's like, I'm supposed to trust you? And Sam's like, no, you're not that stupid. Give me the demon knife for a minute. And Meg's like, no, I'm not that stupid. And Sam's like, okay, do you want us to take you to Crowley or not? So she hands Sam Ruby's demon knife, and he uses it to kill the demon that was staring at Dean earlier when they made the gay joke. And Sam's like, you saw him. He was more interested in killing us than getting the job done. I just did all of us a favor. You don't know, maybe he wanted to fuck Dean. Maybe he smelled his Omega hormones.
He's like, he doesn't want, he just is like, just stop it. Get some help.
And so then Meg is like, hey, like, are you just going to keep that knife? Like, and Sam's like, yeah, you took it from us. I'm taking it back and we leave in an hour. We cut to.
Sorry, just remembered Ruby. I miss her.
So we cut to back inside the house. Dean is packing up and we have another interesting scene with Dean and Cass. Only the two of them. And Dean's like, Cass, you could help. And Cass is like, well, I'm ambivalent about what we're attempting. And Dean's like, well, breaking into Monster Gitmo is not exactly a 2-for-1 in the champagne room. Wild sentence.
Insane thing to say.
Okay. And Cass kind of looks at Dean and he's like, I'm not sure retrieving Sam's soul is wise. And Dean kind of stops and he's like, why?
So fucked.
And Cass is like, I want him to survive. And Dean's like, what? And Cass is like, okay, so Sam's soul has been locked in the cage with Michael and Lucifer for more than a year, and they have nothing to do but take their frustrations out on him. You understand? If we try to force that mutilated thing down Sam's gullet, we have no idea what will happen. It could be catastrophic. And Dean's like, you mean he dies? And Cass is like, I mean he doesn't. Paralysis, insanity, psychic pain so profound that he's locked inside himself for the rest of his life. And Dean's like, okay, but you're saying you don't know anything for sure. I mean, he could be fine. And then Cass is like, he could be, but I doubt it.
Cass is like, Diva, it's not happening.
And poor Dean is like, well, if he's not, then you fix him. And Cass is like, Dean, I don't even know where I'd begin to do that. And Dean's like, then you figure it out, Cass. Come on. I mean, the guy's a freaking replicant. He needs his soul. Look, we get it back. And if there's complications, then we figure out a way to deal with those too. And Cass just kind of looks really sad. And he's like, yeah, of course. And then Dean turns away.
That was
Wait. And then
Ugh.
Cass says, or we fail, and Sam suffers horrifically. And then you can see Sam in the shadows, clearly who overheard this conversation. And you're like, oh, the way they're talking about him like Sam is their baby.
I just the part where Cass says, where Dean's like, okay, or you have to figure out how to fix him. Like, you need to fix him. And Cass is like, okay. I just like, it's also crazy because I mean, I know it's like, obviously they, like, I love these scenes where Dean and Cass kind of talk to each other on this kind of like equal, like, I know this sounds so stupid, but it's like where they're on almost like this equal footing where they're just kind of discussing, like, they're on the same page of being like, okay, like, what's tea?
Yeah.
And I think that
they are soulmates and partners in that moment. Okay.
No, literally, it's just so. I think it's just crazy how much chemistry these two have with each other. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, come on. I'm normal.
Yeah, I'm normal.
I'm like really normal. That's what everyone says about me.
Yeah. So we cut to, we are now outside Crowley's monster prison. Dean is like, seems kind of quiet. And Cass is like, no, I can feel it. Meet me at the side door. And Cass opens the door. Dean, Sam, and the demons go in. And Dean's like, this seems a little too easy, right? And Sam's like, yeah, this is way too easy. Something's wrong. They're in the hall, and we see a woman in one of the cells. If you remember, this woman, we've seen her before. She was from the first episode of season 6. She is a djinn from the first episode of season 6. And she's like, is someone there, please?
God, that's crazy.
I didn't even realize that until I saw the transcript. I was like, oh, yeah. So she's like, is someone there, please? Please help me. You have to get me out of here. And everyone's kind of looking at her, and Sam's like, come on, Dean, like, we have to go. And they keep going, and Dean's like, what is it? And suddenly they hear dogs barking. And Meg is like, oh, here come the guards. And Dean's like, oh, shit, it's hellhounds. Meaning they're going to have a fight with some invisible hellhounds that you can't see, which will be really funny. They all, like run for, like, the next set of doors. They're trying to, like, bar them closed with some wood. They draw some salt. And you hear the 2 remaining demons that were with Meg get ripped apart by the hellhounds. And Dean's like, I knew this was a trap. And Meg is like, yeah, what do you want? A cupcake? And Sam's like, okay, that should keep them out. And Dean's like, well, not for long. How many of them are there? And Meg is like, lots of them. I'll be pulling for you from Cleveland. And Dean's like, what? And she's like, I didn't know this was going to happen, like hellhounds and stuff. On the bright side, them chewing up my meat suit ought to buy you a few seconds. She goes, Seacrest out. And then she opens her mouth so that her soul can leave the host body, but then it doesn't. And Cass is like, there's definitely a spell here. I think it's from Crowley. Within these walls, you're locked inside your body. And Dean kind of looks at Meg and he's like, karma's a bitch. And
just like JoJo Siwa says.
Oh my God.
Remember that song? Karma's a bitch. I should have known better.
Yeah.
If I had a wish, I would.
Can someone get Sam and Dean in Fortnite to do that dance?
In Fortnite? I don't think that dance is in Fortnite.
No, but like, anyways.
I mean, I would love to. I feel like we just said like 2 completely different things, but somehow I'm like, no, I get it. Like, I get what you're. I mean, I would. They should do. I feel like that is some shit they would do to get Sam and Dean in Fortnite. Like, that feels like some random ass thing. I need them to be in Fortnite, actually. Can we, like...
Because the JJK characters are also in Fortnite.
Well, that, but also I'm like, I just feel like they're adding, like, random ass characters. I'm like, can we please get Sam and Dean in Fortnite, like, now? Who do I have to contact for that proposal?
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you work at Riot Games... It's not Riot.
I don't know.
No.
Riot is League of Legends.
Fuck.
No,
I'm stupid.
Epic
Cut that
Games.
out. Fuck. Anyways, so Sam takes out the demon knife, and Dean is like, what are you gonna do? Slash at thin air until you hit something? Like, you can't see them. And Sam says,
yes.
And Sam says to Meg, he's like, you can see them, so take this, hold them off. I'm like, that'll be our best shot. And Meg's like, yeah, our best shot at Crowley. Fine. Take it and go. You kill him, I'll hold off the dogs. And Dean's like, how are you gonna do that? This part doesn't make any sense. Not Dean. I wish it was Dean. Meg grabs Cass by the neck and starts making out with him. And while she's doing that, steals his angel blade, which, remember when those used to be archangel blades, but whatever.
Yeah.
And then Cass pushes her up against the wall, and they're, like, going to town. And she's like, hey, what was that? And Cass is like, I learned that from the pizza man. And Meg's like, well, A+ for you. I feel so clean. Okay, gotta go.
You know, Meg did that and was like, that is a gay man. Like, she
Yeah.
was like, that was performative.
She was like,
he was not feeling it. He had to do what he learned from porn. He couldn't just intuit it like a normal like a straight man.
No, because we're literally watching Castiel like learn the steps of being a homosexual man in real time.
He literally is fighting comp het. Like,
yeah, like he might be, you know, an ancient genderless being, but right now he's learning what it is to be a gay man. So, so then Dean is like, wait a minute, like, is that gonna work on a hellhound? And Meg's like, well, we're gonna find out about it soon. You guys run. And the boys and Cass, they start running, and Meg like faces the doors, all very brave. And we cut to a stairwell, and Dean's like, I can't see anything. And suddenly there's a blinding light and Castiel's gone. And Cass is like, Dean is like, Cass, like, where'd you go? And we see Samuel, who banished him with a blood sigil.
Girl.
And Sam is like, Dean, look who it is. And Dean's like, you sold us out? Two demons appear behind Sam and Dean. And Dean's like, damn you, Samuel. And Crowley appears and he's like, hey. He's like, yes, I have to say, best purchase I've made since Dick Cheney.
Guys, after we watched this, we had I was actually crashing out. I think we had talked about this outside of recording so much because we were both just like, oh my God, what do you mean?
Here's my hot take. I think it does a disservice to how evil Dick Cheney is to suggest that he gets help from a demon.
Yeah, he did that all on his own.
Yeah, he did that shit all on his own.
Yeah, he didn't. I don't want to. Yeah, don't disrespect Crowley. He would. Wow.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. I think the idea of being like, the idea of Crowley being like, yes, we need to do the Iraq War. Yes.
This means that Dick Cheney kissed Crowley.
Oh. Sorry, I was like stunned to silence. I think you're right. No, like, wait. Oh, wow. Okay.
Somewhere Crowley has a photo.
Much
like how he took the photo with him and Bobby.
And you know what's crazy? He's also surely kissed Samuel, right? Because, I mean...
Yeah.
And that might just be for a love of the game. Like, I don't know if they really have I guess they do have a deal. Yeah, they've kissed... I mean, how many... Dang, he should kiss John, too. I mean, how many of their father figures has Crowley kissed?
There's something...
I'm sorry, I really can't get over Crowley and Dick Cheney. That's like really... Like, oh my God, I felt like a chill.
Craney?
No, that's stupid.
Oh, God.
I really don't think I can examine that any deeper or I'll actually go insane.
So then Dean's like, hey, Crowley, how's tricks? I don't know. And Crowley's like, this is above your pay grade. I've been working big things. You're going to be too dead to participate. Bye. And Dean's like, really? And Crowley's like, shame I have to do away with you both. Rather enjoyed your indentured servitude. Sam and Dean, they're thrown into jail cells, separate cells. And then we see Meg fighting off the last hellhound. She is victorious. But then she gets ambushed by the demon that was possessing Christian Campbell, one of the Campbells, if you remember. And we cut back to Dean in his cell. And Dean's like, oh, Sam, I'm standing in pee. And Sam is like, consider yourself lucky. Implying that Sam is standing in shit.
That or he's got a really big piss kink. He's like, man, I wish I was standing in pee.
We're gonna have to call this episode Sam Piss Kink.
No, but I do think the idea of Sam is standing in a perfectly pristine cell and he's like, dang, I wish I was in the pee cell.
So Dean is like, ugh, that sucks. And then there's this little window in the door, and Samuel is there. And Dean is like, if you want forgiveness, find a priest. And Samuel's like, I just want you to understand. And Dean's like, oh, I understand that you're a liar. You talk about putting blood first, which is funny, because you sound just like my dad. The difference is he actually did. Which, you know what? He kind of got his ass, because imagine being lower, but the bar is John Winchester, which is on the ground, and pulling out a shovel. That's crazy.
No, literally, I agree.
Got his ass.
No. Mm-hmm. And you know what's crazy also? Because I'm thinking about Samuel thinking about like the John Winchester that he knew.
Yeah.
And being like, dang, that kid turned out to be these guys' dad. That shit is crazy.
Yeah. Also, here's my hot take. If their dad was still alive, he would probably do the same thing to bring Mary back.
Ooh. Okay, but
Yeah.
That's a big quandary. I mean, because
did he not spend their entire childhood trying to get her back or revenge for her above?
He wasn't trying to get her back. He was trying to do like revenge for her being dead. But
yeah, his love for her, he put over his love for his kids and in giving them a stable and happy life.
Yeah, but I also wonder, like, if it really came down to it, like, you can have her or them.
He would pick her.
I don't know.
He would pick her. I think he would.
I think that's a fair topic for debate because I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying
she would pick them. He would pick her.
I don't think you're wrong. I'm just like, I feel like I need to think about it. I need to process that.
But yeah, and I know the girls who have seen the season where Mary comes back might argue with me, but I disagree. So
yeah.
So Samuel says, I am putting blood first. Mary's my blood. She's my daughter. Don't come at me like I sold you out, Dean. You sold out your own mother. It was her or Sam, and you chose Sam, plain and simple.
What the fuck is he even talking about?
Like, okay. It's like, you chose Sam. Yeah, I'm gonna choose the one who's alive.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna choose not only the one who's alive, but whose, like, soul is literally suffering in hell right now. Because as far as we know, Mary's in heaven.
Yeah.
Like...
And Dean's like, oh, that is such crap. You want to know what really happened? You chose a demon over your own grandsons. And Samuel's like, see it how you want. I don't even know what Sam is. And you want me to protect him? And you're a stranger. No, really tell me, what exactly are you supposed to be to me? Crazy shit for Samuel to say.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with him?
Yeah. And Dean is like, I'll tell you who I am. I'm the guy you never want to see again. Because I'll make it out of here. Trust me. And the next time you see me, I'll be there to kill you. And Samuel's like, I don't think there's going to be a next time. And Dean's like, well, whatever gets you through the night.
Samuel, that's how you can tell Samuel doesn't really know them, because that's one thing about the Winchesters. They will always come back. Not to quote Five Nights at Freddy's, but like, they'll always come back.
We got to the two demons who were there working for Crowley. They drag Dean out of his cell and they drag him down the corridor, and Samuel just stands there. And Sam has heard this whole thing. Then we see Meg, who is naked except for these leather straps that are strapping her to the table, covering her private bits.
Which, why? Yeah. Does she have to be naked for this?
I don't know. The demon that is in Christian Campbell's body is like, so Crowley wants to know, well, everything. And he told me to carve it out of you. And Meg's like, whatever makes you feel like a man. And the demon is like, well, you talk a mean game, but you're scared. We cut back to Sam, who's pacing in his cell. And then he squats down, bites into his arm, and draws blood. Clearly, he's trying to get that. I don't know how that works. It's not demon blood, but like, okay. Then we see Dean is pushed into a room. There's blood and guts everywhere. And the demons bring in two ghouls, who, if you remember, eat people.
Oh my gosh.
And
two ghouls, that's like us.
No, literally. And
I feel like we are kind of ghoulish.
We really are. And the demon's like, enjoy. And Dean's like, all right, Shawshank's a great flick, but let's skip the shower scene. Really? Another prison shower rape joke? 3 in one episode? Jesus Christ.
Oh my God. The hell is wrong with him?
The ghoul says is like, oh, look, breakfast. And then we cut to Sam's cell. The demon's going there. Sam is like on the next to the other wall. And he's like, oh, what did you do with my brother? And the demon's like, oh, you'll find out. You're about to join him. But then they get caught in a devil's trap. Sam used his blood to paint it on the ceiling.
Yeah, well, because the devil's trap, I recall, the devil's trap doesn't have to be made out of a specific substance. I think it was just like he was like, what do I have to draw with? I guess my own blood?
Yeah, he kind of ate that. So we cut back to Dean. He's fighting the ghouls.
Also, sorry, I have to say, how much blood would you need to do that, though? Like, he should be sitting down and eating some crackers and apple juice.
Well, do you think he has any?
Well,
with those jackets that have so many pockets, you'd think they'd have some emergency snacks in there.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were going to say like some chalk, which
would make sense.
For guys who constantly have to draw sigils and stuff, you'd think they would have some chalk.
But, well, they aren't the smartest. We cut back to Dean. He's fighting the ghouls, and he's like, oh, I freaking hate ghouls. Then Sam is running down the hallway looking for him. And Dean's like, let me go. Sam arrives, of course, just in time to save Dean. And Sam, rips a metal bar off the wall, kicks the ghouls. It's like, we're just hoping that it's iron, I guess. We cut back to Meg, who's getting tortured, and Meg is like, you're sticking that thing in all the wrong places. And the demon is like, really? You sure were squealing? And Meg is like, knock yourself out. It's a host body. Some girl from Sheboygan moved to LA to be an actress. It's probably not even the worst thing that's ever happened to her. Rape joke number 4!
No, what the hell is going on?
What the fuck? Then you hear Meg screaming. The demon is continuing to torture her. He's torturing her with the demon knife. And she starts laughing. And the demon's like, what are you laughing at? And then Dean appears behind him, grabs the knife, and stabs him in the back. And she's still laughing. She's like, Dean Winchester's behind you, meat sack. And Sam's like, let's go. And so Dean unties Meg. We cut back to the hallway. It is now daytime. And Crowley goes and visits the djinn who was in her cell that we passed earlier. He's like, hey, sweetheart, feeling chatty this morning? We do hope so. Wouldn't want to harm a hair on that pretty little head. So, are you ready to tell me all about your daddy, the alpha? And then the fire alarm rings, which I'm like, do we have a working fire alarm in this weird fucking warehouse? But okay. And then he's like, okay, wait, hold that thought. And Crowley shows up in this room where Meg is being tortured and Dean has pulled the fire alarm. And Crowley's like, you should be ghoul scat by now.
Gross.
And then Sam creeps up behind him and knocks him down. And Crowley's like, was that really necessary? Just had this dry cleaned, his suit. And then he's in another devil's trap. And he's like, so, to what do I owe the reach around? Again! Is this number 5?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then Meg enters with her little dramatic entrance. She's like, Crowley. And Crowley goes, whore. Which, my problem is, that's not misogyny. That's just two gay people.
Yeah. Also, Crowley. Yeah, okay. I like the idea that a gay man calling a woman a whore is not misogyny because he's gay. Unfortunately, not the case.
See, I think she should have called him a slut.
Many such cases. Yeah. I mean, he's probably kissed more people than she has. Because he was a crossroads demon and she was just like a regular demon.
Yeah.
So if anyone is a little slutty, it's him. Crowley is a little slutty. Can we all agree?
A little. So
tasteful amount of sluttiness.
Yeah. So Meg is like, okay, you know what? And then she just immediately starts torturing him using her demon powers. He starts coughing up blood. And she's like, you know what? The best torturers never get their hands dirty. But Sam wants a word with you. And Crowley's like, what can I do for you, Sam? And Sam's like, I want my soul back. And Meg is like, and here I thought you just grew some balls, Sam. Clearly, Meg didn't know. Now she gets the full picture.
Which is insane that she didn't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, remember?
Because there's other supernatural creatures who sense immediately that there's something wrong with Sam. I guess she doesn't care.
I mean,
and Crowley...
Sorry. I was just thinking about Meg and Sam's relationship is just so funny. Like, what the hell?
And Crowley immediately is like, no. And Dean is like, Meg? And she starts torturing Crowley some more. And then Crowley's like, I can't. And Sam's like, well, you can't or won't? And Crowley says, I said can't. I meant can't, you mop-headed lumberjack. I was lucky to get this much of you out. Going back in there for the sloppy bits? No way, I'm good. But those two in there? Forget it.
So, okay, here's a conversation that we need to, have about crossroads and, demon deals. So can they just, lie? Because I kind of thought it was, a binding contract. So it's, because he
didn't make a binding contract with them. He just made a handshake deal.
I guess that makes sense. But I think it's just worth considering, because I feel like in the last, especially too with Bobby's situation too, it's I feel like there's a lot of that I get because it was kind of a loophole, but I just think it's worth keeping in mind, being how much can they fudge the truth. But I guess this one was kind of a under the table, if I do this, you do this.
Yeah.
So maybe he didn't kiss Samuel, or maybe he did kiss Samuel, but maybe I guess he and Sam never kissed. Not yet. So we can only dream.
Sam's like, okay, how do I know you're not lying? And Crowley's like, you don't, but it doesn't change anything. I'm telling you, Sam, why do you want this thing back? Satan's got one juicy source of entertainment in there. I'd swallow a rag off a bathhouse floor before I took that soul, unless you want to be a drooling mess. Happened to my good friend Sugru Ghetto. Anyways. And Meg turns to Sam and she's like, I hate to say it, but he's kind of right. And Sam's like, okay, Yeah, right. I get it. Thanks. He's all yours. And Dean's like, whoa, what are you, crazy? He's our only hope. Sam's like, Dean, you heard him. He can't get it. He's useless. So Dean hands Meg the knife. She goes inside the devil's trap. And she's like, you're going to let me back out, right? And they're like, yeah. And she goes to Crowley. She's like, this is for Lucifer, you pompous little. And then Crowley immediately takes her down, uses the knife to break out of the devil's trap, like scratches on the floor, and throws Sam and Dean onto the opposite walls. And then he's like, that's better. You don't know how to torture, you little insect. He kind of ate that. And then suddenly, Cass is here. Yay.
He said, hey, girl.
He literally saw Pookie in danger, and he's like, leave them alone. And seen you all season. You the cavalry now?
I like the idea that Crowley is the only one who can break the fourth wall. He's like, I know I'm in a CW television show.
And Cass is like, put the knife down. And Crowley's like, are you that bossy in heaven? I hear you're losing out to Raphael. The whole affair makes Vietnam look like a roller derby.
Jesus Christ.
Hello?
What the hell is wrong with him?
God. And then he goes, what's in the gift bag? And Cass, this is a very cunty moment from Cass. He takes a skull out of the bag. And he's like, you are. And Crowley's like, that's not possible. And Cass is like, you didn't hide your bones as well as you should have. And Crowley's like, ugh, cookie for you. And Cass is like, can you restore Sam's soul or not? And Crowley's like, if I could help out in any other way. And Dean's like, no, answer him. And Crowley's like, I can't. And then Castiel incinerates Crowley's bones. And Meg vanishes. Clearly she's like, I'm outie. And Dean's like, yeah, she's smart. I'll give her that. I was going to kill her too. And then he looks at Cass. He's like, of course, I'd have given you an hour with her first. And Cass goes, why would I want that?
He kissed her and said, you know what? The whole women thing, not for me. Also, crazy that many of you may be saying right now, wait, did Crowley just die? Because as conventional wisdom would have it, yes, but there's something else. And remember this for later.
This is a Mosca tool we'll use for later.
There's a certain conversation that we are not privy to, that we will become privy to later, about how Crowley may not have actually died here.
Yeah.
So, sorry, you can hear Peach is weirded out by that, right?
Peach.
Okay.
So, they're outside the prison. It's daytime. Sam, Dean, and Cass are all standing by the Impala. Dean's like, thanks, Cass. If you hadn't been there. And Cass is like, Crowley's right. It's not going well for me upstairs. Dean's like, well, if there's anything we can do. And Cass is like, there isn't. I wish circumstances were different. Much of the time, I'd rather be here.
Oh. Guys,
Lord
I'm
God.
literally so normal. It's like, fuck. Sorry, I just remembered something that happened in like way later seasons that we're not going to get to for another 15 years that drives me insane.
And Dean says, look, Cass, we know you got a steaming pile on your plate. There's no need for apologies. We're your friends. And Cass says, listen, Sam, we'll find another way. And Sam's like, you really want to help? Prison full of monsters. Can't just leave them. But we can't let them go. And Cass is like, I understand. And he disappears, clearly to go kill them all. And Dean's like, he's right, about your soul. We'll figure something else out. And Sam's like, no, we won't. And Dean's like, why? Like, Crowley said, and Sam's like, you heard what Crowley said. I heard what Cass said. Putting this thing back in me would smash me to bits. And Dean's like, well, we don't know that. And Sam's like, you know what? When angels and demons agree on something, call me nuts. I pay attention. And Dean's like, you say this now after we practically died trying to... And Sam's like, yeah, we almost got ourselves killed. I mean, how many times do we risk our asses for this? Enough's enough. I don't think I want it back. And Dean's like, you don't even know what you're saying. And Sam's like, no, I'm saying something you don't like. You obviously care a lot, but I think maybe I'm better off without it. And Dean's like, you're wrong. You don't know how wrong you are. And Sam's like, I'm not sure about that. And he starts to walk away. And Dean's like, Sam, don't walk away. Sam. And then the episode ends.
I think that is very characteristic, though, of like their relationship, of Dean being like, I know what's best for Sam. That being said, I kind of get this, especially in this situation, he does not have a soul. And I think also we're kind of discounting the fact that it's like, okay, not only does Dean want to save Sam, like, so that the Sam here is more quote unquote normal. It's also like, no, Sam's soul is being tortured in hell. Like, we haven't put enough emphasis on being like, I want to save my brother's soul that's being tortured in hell. Like, no, like, even if it is like, you bring Sam back and he's like fucked up after, it's like, okay, but like his soul would not be being literally tortured in hell anymore. And Dean is someone who's been tortured in hell. Like, he knows the tea. He knows what it's like.
And being tortured by Lucifer? That shit's crazy, bro.
Also, there is some fun trivia for this episode on the Supernatural wiki. The first that I laughed my ass off at is when Cass says, I learned that from the pizza man. Meg didn't know he was watching porn. So she's probably like, damn, was he macking on the pizza man?
Wow.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I think that one is like the biggest, like, that is the one that really makes me laugh. Hold on. Yeah, that's the only like real fun fact. I will say another fun fact is that according to story editor Brett Matthews, originally the ghouls were supposed to be, quote, a big ass Lovecraftian tentacle. He says, quote, in the first draft, Dean gets thrown into this underground pit where it's just sand and a huge trough of water. He starts digging and finds a bone, realizes he's been thrown into a monster pen. Then this huge tentacle reaches up and grabs him and sucks him under.
That's a Star Wars reference.
Sam busts out with a fire axe and chops the tentacle off and pulls him out, but Dean's leg is all messed up. It was going to be a very bold step in the realm of monsters, but it was just too expensive, which I think is kind of hilarious. This episode, I actually really liked this episode. Like, I think by season 6 standards, it's pretty good. And it also has some really, like, interesting, I think,
character interactions.
Yeah. I think it has some very memorable moments.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I liked this one. I think this one is definitely pretty enjoyable.
Peach, what was your opinion, Peach?
Peach is sad because she loves Dick Cheney, so she's like, why are they slandering my goat?
She's so cancelable.
She's really problematic. Hi, Peach. She's really problematic. Okay, so we took a break betwixt episodes, and I did get a little ill. So just so you all know, this is going to be a very interesting. Vibes are weird, but that's okay. So this is Supernatural season 6, episode 11. It is called Appointment in Samarra, which is named after a Middle Eastern folk story about someone meeting death, like the personification of death. So if that might give you an idea of what we're expecting. We see Dean. He is sitting in the car, and he looks at a piece of paper he has, which has an address written down on it, and then he looks at the address on this building he's outside of, and he goes, oh, you've got to be kidding me. And it's like an Asian, like, market/grocery store kind of place, like that has like a butcher inside of it, but he is clearly like, oh god, okay. He walks in and there's a man behind the counter and he is like butchering something, and he goes, yeah, I'm looking for, and the guy behind the counter kind of looks him up and down and he's like, yeah, he's in the back, and he points. And Dean goes up the stairs to like a set of apartments that are above this store. And he walks up to this apartment and it looks kind of grubby, but he finds the correct suite and he goes to knock. And who walks out? This guy who introduces himself as Dr. Robert. And immediately I was like, oh my god, that's Freddy Krueger.
Insane pull for Supernatural to do.
I am like, the actor who like Robert Englund is here as Freddy Krueger as Dr. Robert. But he introduced himself. Dean's like, oh, you must be Dr. Robert. And he's like, oh my gosh, like, it's such a pleasure to meet you. Like, I've stitched up your daddy more times than I can count. But that was like a long time ago when I still had my medical license. Anyway, right this way. And they go into this room, and you realize this is like his doctor's office. It's this like grubby apartment. And Dean's looking around and he's like, I'm no germ freak, but you know, this is a little... And Dr. Robert's like, well, the rent's cheap. They walk into the office, and he introduces this girl as Eva. She's his assistant. She's
a
hi to
goth
her.
baddie. She's a goth baddie, okay?
Literally, she has micro bangs, and she's like low-key unbothered. Like, she's like, whatever. I'm way more curious about what Dr. Robert and Eva have going on, like what they're...
No,
I would watch a show about
literally.
these two divas, like, illegally practicing medicine. But he's like, oh yeah, that's my assistant. Dean's like, hey. She does not respond. She is unbothered. She's popping her gum. She does not care. So, Dr. Robert's like, here, you can hop right up on this table. And Dean's like, have you done this a lot? And Dr. Robert's like, oh yeah, I've done it. I've done it plenty of times. And Dean's like, and what's your success rate? And he's like, oh, it's really good. Almost 75%. So let's get started.
And when you learn what it is, you're like, oh.
Like, what the hell? But he's like, oh, can we get the preliminaries out of the way? And Dean's like, oh, yeah. And he hands him a big envelope full of money. Dean then hands him another envelope. And on it, we see that it's addressed to Ben Braden, so Lisa's son. And he says, if something goes wrong, like, can you please mail this for me? And Dr. Robert's like, oh, yeah, sure. No, I can do that. I'm surprised you don't have something for your brother. And Dean says, if I don't make it back, nothing I say is going to mean a damn thing to him. Oh. Right?
Oh, that just made me think of the last episode of the show.
Well, yes. But I also think it's more because he's like, well, if I don't make it back, Emma's not going to have a soul, so he's low-key not going to give a fuck. At that moment, Eva inserts, she puts, like, an IV in, and he's like, oh, like, fuck. And she's like, don't be a baby. And he's like, a little bedside manner would be nice. And then Dr. Robert starts injecting some medicine, and he goes, you have 3 minutes. And Dean's eyes close, and he starts flatlining. And Eva, like, looks, and she goes, okay, no pulse, no sinus rhythm. And Dr. Robert says, well, he's dead. And then we see Dean standing next to his body. And he's like, all right, this better work. So he goes downstairs into the store. And he starts, so he's like dead, sort of, right? So he's having like this out-of-body spiritual experience. And
which he
if you'll recall,
when he was in the
especially,
coma.
Yes. One, when he was in the coma. 2, when they had Pamela, I believe, send them into this space. And now this is the 3rd time. But he's like, okay, T. So he recites this incantation. And who do we remember? Tessa, the Reaper. She shows up and she's like, Dean, girl, what? And she says, and Dean's like, oh my gosh, like it worked. And she's like, Dean, I was in the Sudan. Why did you?
Crazy.
Like, she's like, why are you like pulling me over here? Wait, why are you dead? And he's like, okay, girl, like I don't have time for this. I need a favor. I need you to tell your boss that I need to talk to him. And she's like, I'm sorry. How do you think that you can be telling me what to do? And Dean's like, this is like desperate times, please. And she's like, okay, he calls like death. He calls us. We don't call him. And Dean's like, please make an exception. And she's like, I can't. And he's like, can't or won't. And she's like, okay, both. And as they're arguing, we hear a voice say, all right, Tessa, thank you very much. Hello, Dean. And it's Death.
He's so cunty. I'm obsessed with him.
Then we get the title screen. Supernatural. We start. Death is just kind of chilling. And he's like, okay, I'm busy. Tell me what you want. And Dean's like, well, I have something of yours. And Death is like, oh, you mean my ring that I loaned you temporarily? Like, I'm sorry. Because Dean's kind of trying to blackmail him. He's like, oh, well, if you want it back. And Death's like, okay, girl, I know where you've hidden it. You literally have no leverage here. So what are you trying to get? And Dean's realizing like his plan may not have been the best. So he's like, okay, I need to get into Lucifer's cage. I figure that you're literally Death. You might be one of the only people who can get in. Sam's soul is stuck in there. And our other brother's also trapped in there too.
Y'all remember Adam?
Y'all remember Adam? One of the rare times Adam is remembered. But Death is like, okay, your point. And Dean's like, okay, I want you to get them both out. And this is funny as fuck. Because Death is like, okay, pick one. And Dean is like all perturbed, all put out. And Death is like, okay, Sam's soul or Adam's. As a rule, like, I don't bring people back. I can make an exception once, not twice. And Dean is like, well, Sam.
Man, he didn't even think about it.
No, literally. I mean, in what world was he going to pick Adam? Which is right.
Yeah,
So he's like, okay, yeah, like, choose Sam. I know his soul's been in there for a year. I know it's, like, damaged. And Death is like, girl, that's, like, an understatement. And Dean's like, well, okay, so in addition to going down there, could you, like, I don't know, hack the hell part off? Then we cut, and we see Dr. Robert and Eva are like, okay, we've counted down. It's been 3 minutes. Like, I guess that's how long he can safely be in this, like, dead state for. So they start trying to, like, restart his heart. So they're using, like, the defibrillator, and it's not working. But, like, she's counting down and, like, shocking him, and Dr. Robert's like, again. So anyway, we cut back down. Death is like, okay, first of all, I don't know if you know what the soul, like, how the soul works, but you can't just, like, slice off a piece. Like, it's being tortured, but it's, like, you can't just, like, slice off a piece. Like, it doesn't work like that. A soul can't be broken apart. It can be bludgeoned and tortured, but not even I can, like, break a piece off. And Dean's like, okay, well, you have to be able to do something. And Death is like, okay, I might be able to put up, like, a wall, like a dam to hold all of the nasty memories of hell back. But if it breaks, then you're kind of fucked, because it is not a permanent thing. It doesn't last forever. And Dean's like, okay, so the choice is Sam with no soul or Sam with some drywall that if or when it collapses, he's done. And Death is like, well, yes. And Dean's like, okay, do it. That sounds great. And Death is like, okay, I never said that I'd do it. You know, I want to bet. Let's make a little wager. And Dean's like, okay, great, awesome, perfect. And Death is like, okay, don't be impolite. I want you to go get my ring, and you're going to put it on. I want you to be me for one day. Try being an influencer for a day.
No, literally.
Y'all remember that?
No,
remember that, girl?
literally.
Try being an influencer for a day. But he's like, I want you to be me for a day. And Dean's like, hello? Like, are you serious? And he's like, no, I'm being incredibly sarcastic. Bitch, like, for real. We cut back. Dr. Robert and Eva are still trying to resuscitate Dean, and it's still not working. And he's like, Eva, like, push adrenaline. We cut back, and Death is like, okay, if you take the ring off before 24 hours, you lose, and Sam doesn't get his soul back. And Dean's like, okay, like, fine, I'll do it, but why? And Death is like, well, because, and then as Death is about to answer, Dean sits back up. He's back in his body. And Dr. Robert goes, oh, thank Moses.
Like,
and
what?
Dean is like, you couldn't have given me 5 more seconds? And Dr. Robert says, son, you are gone for 7 minutes. He was like, I thought Death had you by the twins.
Well,
he made it. He survived. Then we cut. The girlies are hanging out at Bobby's house. Yay, Bobby's in this episode. Everyone clapped. Everyone jumped. And we start mid-conversation. Sam goes, you what? And then Dean is like, okay, like, just hear me out. And Sam's like, no. I heard both Cass and Crowley say that if I got my soul back, it would be so over. I have heard enough. I don't want it. And Dean's like, well, Death said he can put up a wall. You know, it'll make it so you don't remember hell. And Sam's like, for good? Like, it's a cure? It's permanent? And Dean's like, well, okay, it's not a cure, but he said it could last a lifetime. And Sam's like, oh, so we're playing pretty fast and loose with it, you know, with my life here, don't you think? And Dean's like, I'm trying to save you. And Sam's like, okay, exactly, but it's my life. It's my soul. And
he said, my body, my choice, bitch.
Literally, period. And he's like, okay, but, like, also, it's not your head that's going to explode when this goes sideways. And Bobby's like, okay. So is Death just, like, I assume he's not doing it out of the goodness of his heart. So, like, what's your half of the deal? And then Dean kind of mumbles something, and Bobby's like, I'm sorry, I didn't get that. And Dean's like, oh, I have to wear the ring for a day. And Bobby's like, okay, well, why would he want you to do that? And Dean's like, I don't know, to get his rocks off. I don't know, but I'm doing it. And Sam goes to leave. He's like, I've heard enough. And Dean's like, where are you going? And Sam turns around. He goes, look, I hear you, okay? I get it. I just need a minute to, like, process. They kind of nod. Sam walks out of the room. We cut to outside in the yard. And Sam is looking at this hole that's been dug into the ground. And Dean walks up and he goes, looking for this? And he's holding Death's ring. Because obviously Sam was going to try to dig it up and take it so that they couldn't do this plan.
They were like, we know you don't have a soul, girl. You can't trick me.
And they're like, I like how not having a soul has made him a worse liar. He's like, girl, anyway. But Dean's like, yeah, you looking for this? And Sam's like, no, I was just taking a walk. And Dean's like, dude, I'm not going to let you get hurt. I'm your brother, okay? I know what I'm doing. And Sam's like, well, what if you're wrong? And he's like, I won't let it go wrong. And Sam's like, fine. And Dean's like, fine? You're fine. So Sam's like, yeah, I'm trusting you here. You know, you're the one with the moral compass, right? Just don't mess it up. So Dean's like, okay, I won't. Bobby, watch him. Then we cut inside. It's a little later. Sam and Bobby are inside the house. And Sam is like, oh, so is this the part where you pull a gun on me and lock me in the panic room? And Bobby's like, do I have to? And Sam's like, no, I guess Dean's got to do what he's got to do. And Bobby's like, I guess we all do, kid. Then we cut back outside. Dean says, well, here goes everything. And he puts on the ring. And we cut. Dean is on the street of some random town, not where he was just standing. And then Tessa appears. And she goes, wow, they'll let anybody be death these days. And they have a little bit of a little bit of banter. And she's like, okay, I don't like this. I'm not crazy about you. This is some bullshit. Let's stick to the rules, okay? For the next 24 hours, you kill anyone whose number is up. And Dean's like, well, how am I supposed to know who to kill? And she's like, okay, I have a list. And Dean's like, can I see the list? And she's like, no, we're going to go to them. I'm going to tell you who it is. You touch them. They will die. Then I will reap them. We good? And Dean's like, I mean, shit, I guess. And she's like, you take off the ring, you lose. You slack off, you lose. Got it? Don't mess this up. It's not my job to be your babysitter.
It's literally her job to be his babysitter.
I'm like, Diva, that, like, I totally get it. And it is a shame. You know, they're always making women clean up for men, but you are, like, basically his babysitter. That is your job right now. Then we cut. And we're inside another damn abandoned warehouse. There's so many. The abandoned warehouse budget on this show is through the roof.
$10 million.
That's why the CW is doing so poorly, because they spent all of their budget on Supernatural's abandoned warehouse budget.
Please.
We cut and we see Sam. So apparently he's left. So Bobby was like, okay, I'll watch you. And then Sam said, okay, leaves. So Sam is performing some ritual and he's like saying these words, and then he like lights a match and sets some stuff in a bowl on fire. And then who appears? Balthazar. That's my
Crazy
bestie.
work.
What an asshole. I love him. But he's like, Sam Winchester, this better be good. Then I think there was like a commercial break here. But it starts again. And he's like, so you're low-key dumb as shit, because why would you summon me? Because I want to kill you. I've wanted to kill you. What's tea? And Sam, echoing what Dean said before to Death, is like, oh, desperate times. I need your help. And Balthazar's like, well, last time you saw me, you said you wanted to fry my wings, quote, extra crispy. And Sam's like, that was just a misunderstanding. And Balthazar's like, okay, girl, like some misunderstanding. What do you want? And Sam's like, I need advice. And Balthazar says, well, then go ask your boyfriend. I'm like, okay, Castiel shipper.
Castiel shipper is crazy.
He's like, I know my brother's getting his spot blown up by the blowjob brothers. Like,
he's trying to figure out which one Castiel is fucking. And he said that, and he was like, is it Sam? Okay, so from Sam's response, it's not him. Ooh, it's Dean. Interesting.
Yeah, and then he finds out that neither of them are actually fucking, and he's like, whoa, Cass is whipped for a guy who he's not even laying pipe with. This is crazy. Damn. So Sam is like, okay, Cass can't help me. I need to know if there is some sort of spell or something that can keep a soul out of a body forever. And Sam's like, it's, because I got kind of a fun situation going on. So he reveals to Balthazar that he doesn't have a soul. And Balthazar is surprised by this. He's like, okay, well, where's your soul? Oh, shit, it's not. Ooh, it's still in the box, isn't it? And Sam's like, yeah, Dean wants to put it back in me and I don't want it. And then Balthazar says, quote, no, you don't. No, because Michael and Lucy are hate banging it as we speak. I'm like, oh, okay. So Sam's like, well, yes, can you help me? And Balthazar's like, yes, but will I? I'll do it for free. And Sam's like, wait, why? And he's like, well, you seem like a capable young man, and I'd love to have you in my debt. Also, I don't really like your brother, so screwing him would delight me. Anyway, okay. So there's a spell. The ingredients are pretty easy to get, but there's one thing that you will need to do. You have to scar your vessel. And Sam's like, okay, like a physical scar, what does that mean? Like, is that what that is? And Balthazar's like, no. Something like pollute your soul. It has to be, or pollute your vessel. Like something that renders it uninhabitable, something so terrible. And it's something specific. And Sam's like, okay, easy. And I was shitting and farting when this happened. But Balthazar's like, okay, you need to do patricide. And Sam's like, well, my dad has been dead for years, so I'm kind of fucked in that department. And Balthazar's, oh, okay. He's like, you don't need necessarily like the blood of your literal father, but it doesn't need to be someone who you're blood related to. It needs to be like, your real father, basically. And I was losing my shit.
No, and the other piece is like, well, why can't it be matricide?
Okay, friend who's too woke.
Yeah.
I mean, the real option is probably just that Balthazar is mean. And he's like, whatever, I need to cause some drama.
He just hates Bobby.
Well, So, we cut back. Dean and Tessa are walking down the street. And she's like, people might have questions when they die. They might want to ask you. Well, probably not you, but like death. And he's like, and this topical, he says, you mean like, how did Betty White outlast me? Fly high, angel. Tessa's like, oh, people are going to be asking stuff like, what does it mean? What was it all for? All that stuff. And Dean's like, well, will I know? And she's like, no. You just kind of got to suck it up. Figure something out. Then
she's like, that meme that's like me 27 at my job with my 40-year-old coworker. Like she's the 40-year-old coworker.
That's so true.
Like, what am I doing here with Bob? Like,
damn, where Tessa at today?
Yeah.
Being death will have you with an ageless coworker. Like, damn, where Tessa at today?
No, literally.
So we cut inside of this convenience store and we hear people shouting and we see Dean and Tessa watching this. But obviously the people there can't see them. But there's a robber and he is holding up this store at gunpoint and there's a guy behind the counter and there's a kid with this guy behind the counter. And the robber's like, oh, I'll shoot you. I'll shoot the kid. Hurry up and like empty out the register. And the cashier reaches under like he's going to go pull out the register and pulls out a gun and shoots the robber.
That's real America, bitch.
That's the American dream. So Tessa's like, okay, girl, like, now's your time. And Dean, always a fan of corporal punishment, says, oh, shit, like, that guy just got shot. Is he in agonizing pain right now? And Tessa's like, yes. And Dean's like, okay, give me a minute. And then he just kind of stands there. He's like, clap if you think he should suffer.
No, literally.
Then he reaches over and he touches this guy's hand. And suddenly the guy is standing there behind him and his body's still on the ground. It is like he's out of his body. And he's like, what? Why? The guy realizes he's dead. And Dean turns around and he goes, mostly because you're a dick. Enjoy the ride down, pal. Trust me, sauna gets hot. And he looks pissed off at Dean. And Tessa grabs this guy, like kind of ushers him out. So she's being a little bit more sympathetic. We cut. They're outside, and Dean's like, well, that wasn't so hard. And then they see this heavier man eating a piece of pizza. He's probably in his, late 40s, maybe. Dude's eating a piece of pizza, and Dean's like, call me crazy, but this smells like a heart attack. And then, obviously, the guy has a heart attack. Dean walks over, touches his hand, and the guy's like, why? And Dean's like, you think maybe it was the extra cheese? And the guy goes, yeah, but it was good, though. And then they start talking about the pizza, and Dean's like, oh, is it a local place? And Tessa's like, girl, like, pick it up. And
also, like, fat-phobic Dean, like, fuck off.
Okay, but to be fair, he wasn't even really, he was just like, girl, like, I want some of that too. Like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Dean is kind of like in that moment, like how they have, like, service dogs can tell when you're gonna have a panic attack or when, like, your blood pressure's low or that kind of thing. Like, he was like a service dog. He had like a heart attack sensing powers.
That's what Dog Dean Afternoon was really about.
That's what it should have been about. Fuck me. Don't talk about that episode to me.
Peach is mad we're talking about dogs.
Peach is mad that we're talking about people dying and she isn't the killer. So this guy, Tessa's ushering this guy off, and he turns around and he says to Dean, he's like, will you tell me what it all means? And Dean says maybe the most stereotypical Dean Winchester line of all time. And he kind of looks at the guy, he looks around, and he goes, everything is dust in the wind. And the guy goes, what? A Kansas song? That's it? And Tessa looks at the guy and she goes, I'm sorry, he's new.
Imagine you die and you gotta meet a guy on his first day. Bro.
Oh, dude, that would suck so bad.
Imagine dying and the first person you see is Dean Winchester.
That would be kind of like, I feel like a part of me knows that's what's going to happen. Like, if I die and Dean Winchester isn't there to be like, hey, girl, let's go, I'm going to be pissed.
If I die and Dean and Castiel fucking nasty is not the first thing I see.
So true. So we cut back to Bobby's house. And Sam kind of is like sneaking in. And Bobby is sitting at the table, at the kitchen table, and he goes, I woke up and you were gone. Where you been? And Sam's like, oh, I'm just kind of, driving around. Sam sits down at the table, and Bobby pours him a drink. And they start playing, like, poker, which I'm like, okay, sure. They're playing card games and drinking together. Then we cut, and we're inside of a hospital. And Dean's, like, looking around the hospital like, oh, fuck, okay. Like, it's over. We go into a room, and we see this father, and there's a little girl sitting in the hospital bed, and they're, like, reminiscing. He's like, oh, remember when we went on this trip? You were so little, like, we should, like, blah, 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 whatever. And Dean goes, the dad or the kid? And Tessa's like, it's the kid. And Dean's like, come on, what is she, 13? And Tessa's like, she's 12. And then the little girl, whose name is Hillary, she points at a picture that her dad has, and she's like, oh, who's that? And he's like, oh, that's your mom when she was your age. Mom's out of the picture. Mom's dead. Dean's like, God, does this guy have anyone else? And Tessa's like, not really. What did you think this was going to be, all armed robbers and heart attacks? And Dean's like, well, she's 12. And Tessa's like, yeah, and she's got a serious heart condition. You have to do this. And Dean's like, oh, says who? And she's like, death. And he's like, I'm death. And she's like, are you stupid? Like, what are you talking about? This is like destiny. And he's like, okay, I've been spending my whole life fighting against that. There's no such thing as destiny. It's the same way that there was no apocalypse. Like, it's just a bunch of idiots who didn't want humans, like, asking questions and doing stuff. Like, no, the girl lives. And she looks at him and she goes, you know what? It's amazing because you don't actually buy a word you're saying. And he goes, yes, I do. And she goes, oh, really? So all the times that you messed with life and death, they just worked out for you? This is a beach party every time, huh?
She got his ass there.
Mm-hmm. And Dean's like, okay, well, she's 12 and she's not dying today. I'm death. Then we cut again. We see Sam and Bobby playing poker for like 2 seconds. And then we cut back and there's a doctor. There's a doctor talking to the father of Hillary. And he's like, I just can't explain it. Her heart just healed. A couple times in your career, you see something, you got to call a miracle, and we don't have to operate. And the dad's like, oh my gosh, like, thank you so much. You did it. Hillary, you're going to be okay. And then we see this nurse. And she's like packing up her bag. And she gets on the phone. And she's like, oh, hey, honey, the surgery got canceled, so I'm leaving. I'll be home soon. And Tessa's like, okay, well, whatever. We have more work to do here. And Dean looks at her, and Dean's like, well, fuck you. I told you this girl wasn't going to die, and now she's not going to die. Hell yeah. Then we cut back to Bobby's house. And this shit starts going crazy. Sam puts down a pair of aces. And he's like, yeah, I got a pair of aces. And Bobby pulls out a beer bottle, and he goes, yeah, you want another one? And Sam's like, oh, yeah, sure. Bobby stands up to go into the refrigerator. And Sam grabs like a wrench to knock Bobby out. And he's coming up behind him. And then Bobby turns around and grabs a baseball bat from the refrigerator and beats the shit out of Sam with it. And he goes, I may have been born at night, boy, but I wasn't born last night.
Bobby is always gonna eat. Like,
so he runs to grab like some rope, and he comes back, and Sam is gone. And he's like, oh, fuck. Okay, Sam, let's not do anything crazy. And suddenly, like, Sam is chasing him, and he's like, oh, fuck. So he runs, and he locks himself in this closet. And it was the same closet that he and Dean were in when there were zombies attacking them.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
So he's, like, locked himself in there, and he's like, fuck. Like, this shit is so stupid. And then suddenly, there's a chopping. And he realizes that Sam has an axe and is beating the door down. And Bobby's like, please don't say, here's Johnny. And
it's so...
Sam is like, I'm sorry, Bobby. Like, I have to do this. You shouldn't have cornered yourself. And he pulls open the door, and Bobby says, I didn't. And he presses, this is insane. He presses a button, and a trap door opens under Sam, and he falls into the basement.
You know that Bobby would Home Alone his own house.
No, I'm just
pre-Home Alone.
I feel like after pre-Home Alone is really good, but I feel like it was like after the zombie thing, he was like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that again. But Sam is now in the basement. He's like, oh, fuck. So he runs up, and he has a crowbar. He's trying to, like, beat down the door. And Bobby's on the other side, and he shouts through the door. He's like, reinforced steel core, like titanium kick plate. You're not getting out of there. So what's going on? And Sam's like shouting it back through the door. He's like, I have to do this. You know, if Dean puts my soul back, I'm going to be fucked. I can't let that happen. I don't want to kill you. You've been nothing but good to me. And Bobby's like, oh, so it's a demon deal? Something like that? And Sam's like, no, it's a spell. And Bobby's like, Sam, you're making a mistake. And Sam's like, I'm just trying to survive. You know, like, what if they put that soul back in, and then the wall in my head, like, doesn't work? Like, what, it's supposed to stay up? Come on, be serious. Like, what if it doesn't work? Dean doesn't care about me. He cares about Sammy, his little brother who's burning in hell. He would kill me to get... No, literally. He's like, he would kill me to get him back. And Bobby's like, listen, I know this is scary, but do you know what's scarier? You are not right in the head, and you're not giving us a choice. And Sam doesn't respond. And Bobby is kind of like, Sam, balls. And he opens the door and goes downstairs because apparently he's stupid. Like, why would you do that?
Why is he suddenly dumb?
But Bobby has a gun, and he's like, ain't nobody killing me in my own house. I don't want to blow your legs out, boy, but I will. And then he sees an open vent and realized that Sam has managed to escape. I guess Sam has spent enough time in this panic room that he's finally like, okay, I need to figure out how to get out of here.
How does Sam fit in a vent?
That was my question. No, literally.
What kind of house has vents that big?
No, exactly. I mean, he's a very large man, too. I'm like, there's no way. No way his shoulders would fit through. We cut back to the hospital. Tessa looks pissed off at Dean. And he's like, oh, what? Like, am I getting the silent treatment? And suddenly she exclaims, and she's like, damn it. I knew it. And Dean's like, what? What is it? Then we see an EMT. He's got a gurney. He's pushing someone in. They're saying like all the different codes, and the orderly is talking, and they're like going back and forth, and they're like, oh, we need Dr. Owens. He just left. Call Dr. Owens and tell him to turn around. And Dr. Owens, we realize, is the one who was going to perform that surgery on the little girl. And the EMT is like, oh, she had a heart attack in the ambulance. And Dean walks over and is like, oh my God, And Tessa's like, yeah, because you let the girl live, we realize that the person who died is the nurse who was like, oh, honey, I'll be home soon. So Tessa's like, yeah, you let the girl live. Nurse goes home early, gets in a car crash she wouldn't have. And the heart surgeon who she needs, he left. And Dean's like, so you knew this would happen? And she's like, no, but you knocked over a domino. And then suddenly the doctor's like, oh, she's in cardiac arrest. And Tessa's like, you need to do this. And Dean's like, what? No, she's not on the list. I don't want to do that. And Tessa's like, everything has a consequence. If you don't do this, another chain reaction is going to get set off. And he's like, well, she's got nothing to do with this. And she's like, well, that's too bad. You put on the ring. Now do your damn job. And we see Dean walks over and we see that this nurse has a little name tag that says Jolene on it. And Dean is like, fine. And he reaches down and he touches her hand and she starts flatlining and all of the doctors start and the orderlies start rushing around. And then we see Jolene standing there next to Tessa and she's seeing her own body and she's like, how did this happen? And Tessa's like, yeah, you were so young, And Tessa low-key was a bitch for this. But she goes, actually, you were supposed to live for many decades, have kids and grandkids. And Jolene's like, wait, why did I die then? And Tessa's like, because he screwed up. Hell, girl, that was cunty and not in a good way. But she looks at Dean and she goes, you did this to me? And Tessa's like, come on, Jolene, it's time to go. And Dean's like, wait, I'm sorry. And then, oh my God, then we see Jolene's husband. And he runs in and he's like, where's my wife? Where is she? And he comes over to her body and he starts sobbing. And Dean's standing there feeling like a real asshole. To the next scene. And we're still in the hospital. And we see this little girl who Dean was supposed to kill, Hillary. And she's like, we can go on a real vacation? And the dad's like, yeah, I can take you to this cafe where I met your mom. All these things we thought we weren't going to be able to do, blah, blah, blah. And Tessa's like, Dean, you got to go kill that girl now. She is disrupting the natural order. You of all people know what that means now. She is going to be followed by chaos and sadness her whole life. We tried it your way. Now we need to do this. And Dean as she's talking, he's looking out the window and he sees Jolene's husband. And he's has a bottle of, I think it was whiskey in his hand. And he's drinking it right out of the bottle. And he gets behind the wheel of his car and goes to drive off. And Tessa's like, Dean, what is it? And Dean goes, give me a minute. Then we cut back to Bobby's house. Bobby has been able to locate a trail of Sam's blood from where he got hurt when he fell. And he's trying to find him. He follows him out to this shed in his yard. And then Sam appears behind him and knocks him out and drags him inside. Then we cut. Honestly, Dean is dumb as fuck. Dean has sort of poofed himself into the car with Jolene's husband that he's driving erratically, clearly is going to get in an accident. And Dean's trying to talk to him. He's like, come on, you got to pull the car over. And he's about to drive into traffic. And Dean realizes this guy can't see him because he's deaf. So he's not tangible. He's not there. And he's trying to tell this guy, stop the car, son of a bitch. He realizes what he has to do. So he pulls the ring off, grabs the steering wheel, and yanks it so that the car, drifts onto the side of the road and it, crashes, but not really. And he's hit the brakes. So guy hits the brakes, and he's kind of slumped forward over the steering wheel. Dean looks at him, makes sure he's still alive. He gets out of the car, and he's like, damn it. Tessa, I lost. Are you happy? You can zap my ass back home. I know I lost the bet. And Tessa's not responding to him. And the guy in the car, Jolene's husband, is like, what the fuck? How did this guy just randomly appear? And then
I know that man was traumatized.
Dude, for fucking real. I know that he's probably I hallucinated that.
Yeah.
So Dean puts the ring back on. And he's like, Tessa, hello. And she shows up and she genuinely is like, I'm sorry about your brother. And he's like, no, let's go. And she's like, go where? And then they appear in Hillary's hospital room. And he's like, I have unfinished business. And she's like, Dean, you don't have to do this. You took the ring off. And he's like, you can let her skate by. And Dean's like, no one skates by. And he leans over and he goes next to Hillary's father. And he says in his ear, you should say your goodbyes, man. And then Hillary's father, because he obviously can't see Dean, but like he has like kind of a chill up his spine. Like there's something there. And he kind of wakes up like he was kind of like half awake, half asleep. And he's like, oh, hey, honey, like I must have dozed off. And then suddenly all of the alarms start going off. And he's like, oh my God, like help, somebody help. We see at the end of the bed, Dean and Tessa and Hillary. And Hillary's like, I'm dead? What about my dad? And Dean's like, he'll be fine. And she's like, really? And he's like, I have no idea. And she's like, I can't just leave him. It's not fair. Like, why? And Dean's like, well, there's this sort of, natural order of things. And she's like, that's stupid. And he's like, well, I agree with you there. Then we cut. Bobby has been tied up. And he's like, listen, you don't want to do this, Sam. Like, I'm like a father to you. You've got to know that. And Sam's like, well, that's just it. Sorry. And he picks up this knife. And then suddenly Dean is there. And he's like, hey, guys. And he knocks Sam out.
How many times has that happened in Supernatural?
No, it's just
many.
This whole episode is crazy because I feel like it's like, Dean is having this like very like informative and like emotionally charged thing happen to him. Meanwhile, Sam and Bobby are having yakety sacks. Like so we cut. We're back in the basement. They're in the panic room. Sam is like tied up. He is handcuffed down. They are like, your ass is not going anywhere. And Dean's like, I can't keep doing this. He's talking to Bobby. He's like, I can't tie him up every time he tries to do something like this. Like, this is not going to hold him forever. What am I supposed to do? And Bobby's like, I don't know. Dean goes upstairs because he's like, I just got to step away. And there's someone up there. And it's Death. And he's eating a hot dog.
I'm obsessed with his mind.
And Dean's like, hello? And he's like, Dean, sit down. Here, I brought you a hot dog. There's this little stand in LA. They've got some really good bacon dogs. Dean kind of stands there and looks at him. And he's like, no, sit. Like, sit down. So Dean's like, okay, geez. She sits down. He's like, what is it with you and cheap food? And Death's like, girl, how are you gonna ask me that? Anyway, I thought I'd have a treat, before I put the ring back on. Sometimes you just don't want to have to wear it, but you know that, not hungry. And Dean hasn't been eating. And he's like, okay, I know that I like fucked up and I sucked at doing your job, but this sucks. And Death's like, yeah, so if you could go back, would you just kill the little girl? No fuss, no stomping your feet. And Dean's like, yeah, knowing what I know now, yeah, I would. And Death is like, I'm really surprised to hear that, but I'm glad. And Dean's like, yeah, well, don't get excited. I would have saved the nurse, okay? Like, that's the only reason. That's it. And Death's like, it's a little more than that. You got to look behind the curtain, and you get to learn that wrecking the natural order is not fun when you have to be the one who cleans it up afterwards. Like, this is hard, but, you don't have an idea of that because you've thrown away your life, but every time you do, it bounces right back into your lap because you're you. But the human soul is not a rubber ball. It is vulnerable, but stronger than you know and more valuable than you can imagine. So I think you've learned something today. And Dean looks at him and he goes, you know what? I think you knew I wouldn't last a day. And Death's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And Dean's like, okay, fine, I lost. Like, that's fine, but it was rigged. And Death is like, you'd think that you would talk to me with a little bit more respect. We're done here, and it's been lovely. But I'm going to go to hell now and get your brother's soul back. And Dean's like, wait, I lost. Why would you do that? Are you going to do that for me? And Death's like, I'm not doing it for you. You and your brother keep coming back. You have fucked up the balance of the universe and caused mass disruption, but you have use. You're digging at something, and I want you to keep digging. And Dean's like, well, first of all, sorry for the whole natural order. So you're just being cryptic or... And Death is like, just keep digging about the souls. You'll understand at some point. And Dean is like, so is this like gonna work with Sam's soul? And Death is like, 75%. I call it that. And then Death disappears. And Dean is like, oh, fuck. Bobby, what, we gotta open the door. He runs down. And Bobby's like, what's going on? And Dean's like, now. They pull open the door and we hear Sam and he's shouting like, get away from me, don't. And we see Death. And I don't know if Bobby and Dean can see Death or if just Sam can. I guess they can.
That like he made himself visible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Death has like this bag and inside is this glowing white light. And he's like, okay, Sam, I'm going to put up a barrier in your mind. And Sam is like struggling and like being like, don't do that. And Death is like, it might be a little itchy. So don't scratch the wall. You're not going to like what happens if you do. And Death pulls the soul out of the bag, goes over to Sam. And Sam is like, no, like, you don't know what'll happen to me. And he starts calling out for Dean. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's so fucking dark.
And then Death puts the soul on his chest and basically pushes it back into his body. And the episode ends on Sam screaming.
So that
was the mid-season finale.
Yeah.
The next episode did not premiere for another 2.5 months.
Oh my God. Like, this episode is trying to get at what the whole show is about, what is free will versus predetermination. And they kind of talk about in the previous, when Death is introduced and he's kind of like, yeah, I've been kind of chained to this. And he clearly doesn't. That's why Death is an interesting character, because he clearly doesn't like it. And he clearly, he wants someone to break this cycle. He wants someone to, go outside what is predetermined. And that's why he helps Dean. And it's actually a very interesting moment.
Yeah. I think there's also something really interesting about how, Dean is the one who wants to fight against this, this predetermined fate, this natural order. He's like, that's ridiculous. But when it comes to Sam, he's like, no, I actually know what's best and what I've decided is going to be the best. So it's it's a very interesting thing about Dean being he believes so strongly in free will, but for who?
Eldest daughter syndrome.
He's a little bit of a hypocrite, and I kind of love that about him.
Yeah.
But I think it is also very interesting, too, because Dean realizing throughout the course of this episode being free will, there is a natural order and things get totally fucked up if you don't follow it. And then being almost making him complacent in what he has to do to get Sam's soul back. Realizing there is a natural order. So, it's okay if we don't do what he wants to do, basically.
Yeah, I think this is a generally quite good episode.
I tend to agree. I feel even though this one wasn't subtle, it was just done in a way that felt good.
It was asking a question that I think the show has been wanting to ask, and so it was okay, well, let's ask this question. Let's address the elephant in the room.
I also think there's something interesting about putting the facts behind, hey, there is a natural order. It's not just a philosophy or an idea. Yeah. It's no, literally, if you let this person live, other people will die who weren't supposed to die. There is a literal natural order, and you cannot subvert that.
Well, and also the thing of the protagonist having to come face to face with the fact that him surviving or bringing his brother back or this or has consequences.
Yeah.
And the Death is trying to be hey girl. And if that had been addressed maybe in the last episode, maybe I would have accepted it more, but I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So jot that down.
Write that down. Keep a note of that.
I think we did a pretty good job for people who watched the episodes more than a week ago.
Yeah. No, literally. I feel leave a comment, comment, and rate this video.
Yeah, you guys
rate this podcast episode.
You guys can be mean.
Yeah, please be mean. Honestly, you guys are too nice. You need to start being mean. If you are listening to this episode all the way through on Spotify, go and comment. And
or
down.
YouTube.
Yeah, wherever you're watching this, go and comment and say, I hate you guys, ! You're stupid meanies who don't understand Sam and Dean. And then we'll know that you listen and we'll know you're a real fan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes.
Okay, I'm going to go and probably go continue to be sick. So
I'll do the outro.
It's time for the outro. I can't do this anymore, guys.
We're not well. So
no, literally.
Thank you for listening. Get vaccinated, get your flu shot, get your COVID booster. You know, if in your state you need to attest that you have some sort of thing, you can. No one will ask you questions. Okay, go get boosted. If you want more cursed supernatural content, you can follow us on social media at Mystery Spotcast on Blue Sky, Tumblr, Instagram, and TikTok. We are experimenting with some clips, so you might get some video clips. Who knows? You can also ask us cursed supernatural questions in our Tumblr Ask Box, or tell us your Jujutsu Kaisen headcanons at themysteryspotcast@gmail.com. We do read them all. Even if we don't have time to respond, we do read them. So if you have sent us something, know we love you. If you enjoyed listening to our cursed recap, rate the show, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, leave a comment on our YouTube channel, and like tell a friend about the show. If you have a song you want us to put into the Mystery Spotcast official playlist, you can fill out the form in our show notes. We also have the form for Castiel fic recommendations. And we'll see you 2 Tuesdays from now for more slaying people, queer baiting things, the supernatural business.